This is Operation Midnight Hammer, the largest B-2 strike in history. June 22nd, 2025, 2:10 a.m., Iranian airspace. 7 B-2 Spirit planes moved quietly through the dark. They were invisible to radar and made no sound. Each plane carried 2 giant bombs weighing 30,000 pounds. They were built to break through mountains and thick concrete. Iran never saw them coming. These planes can fly for 18 hours non-stop. They can hit targets 200 feet underground and disappear again. The B-2 Spirit, the B-1 B Lancer, the B-52 Stratofortress, and the new B-21 Raider form America's deadliest air fleet. When they move, the whole world watches. Iran thought its Fordo and Natanz sites were safe. They were buried under rock and steel, but 14 powerful bombs destroyed 15 years of nuclear work in half an hour. For 70 years, these aircraft have shown American strength across the world. Now the B-21 Raider begins a new age of air power. When America's deadliest air fleet goes to war, no target is safe, and no enemy can hide. The Middle East was quiet. It was June 21st, 2025, one day before a major operation. At that time, most of the world had no idea what was about to happen. There were no signs of conflict, no official statements, but deep inside military bases, plans were already active. The mission was called Operation Midnight Hammer. It was organized by the United States Air Force and approved at the highest levels. This operation took months of planning. Teams worked on flight paths, refueling routes, and target mapping. Security was kept strict. Only a few senior officers knew the full plan. 7 B-2 Spirit aircraft were being prepared at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. Each aircraft was armed with 2 GBU-57 AB bunker buster bombs. Each bomb weighed about 30,000 pounds. The mission would last nearly 40 hours, making it the second longest B-2 flight ever recorded. This was not a training exercise. This was the largest B-2 combat operation in U.S. history. Every pilot, engineer, and ground crew member knew what was at stake. They had one goal: to hit targets that most weapons could not reach. While the world remained silent, 7 aircraft were already moving into position. The operation had begun. On the morning of June 21st, 2025, 7 B-2 Spirit aircraft took off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. They left one by one under total radio silence. Their mission was simple: fly east toward the Middle East without being detected. This was the start of Operation Midnight Hammer. No public notice, no announcements, no communication leaks. Everything about this flight was classified. The B-2 Spirit had been designed for exactly this purpose: to strike targets that no radar could detect. It could fly for 18 hours non-stop without landing. To stay in the air, the aircraft completed 3 mid-air refuelings from KC-135 and KC-46 tankers. Every refueling was done in the dark, above the ocean, using precise timing. One mistake could have caused a fatal accident, but it didn't happen. The pilots were among the most skilled crews in the world. They had trained for years for missions like this. They were now flying into hostile airspace where one wrong move could mean death. But Iran had no idea they were coming. That's the power of stealth technology: unseen, unheard, and impossible to stop. As these aircraft moved east across the sky, the world remained silent. 7 B-2s flew east, but others flew west. Why? Because America plays chess, while its enemies still play checkers. While 7 B-2 Spirits flew east toward Iran, several others flew west toward Guam. These westbound flights were decoys. Their mission was to confuse Iranian and regional intelligence. Each one made staged refueling stops in Oklahoma, California, and Hawaii. Every stop was recorded on radar and satellite to look like the real operation. It was theater, but it worked. Iranian analysts believed the United States was preparing for a Pacific exercise, not a strike in the Middle East. The real aircraft continued east in complete silence. Ahead of them, F-35 and F-22 stealth fighters moved at high altitude. Their role was to provoke Iranian radar and draw surface-to-air missile fire. No missiles were launched. Iran's air defense network had already been weakened by a series of Israeli strikes that began on June 13th. Then came another layer of the plan. The USS Georgia, a U.S. Navy submarine in the Arabian Sea, launched over 24 Tomahawk cruise missiles at Isfahan. These strikes hit radar stations and communication hubs. By the time the B-2s reached Iranian airspace, Iran's military was blind. They were in a war they didn't know had started. This was total information dominance. America saw everything, and Iran saw nothing. The deception worked. And then came the 30 minutes that changed warfare forever. From 6:40 p.m. to 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time, the operation reached its target phase. In that half hour, 14 GBU-57A/B massive ordnance penetrators were dropped on Fordo and Natanz. Each weapon weighed 30,000 pounds. Each was 20.5 feet long and 31.5 inches wide. Inside was 5,342 pounds of explosives designed to break through 200 feet of earth or 60 feet of reinforced concrete. The first aircraft released its payload at precise GPS coordinates. The other 6 followed within seconds. 12 of the bombs were directed at Fordo, targeting its 2 main ventilation shafts. The first bomb hit the concrete caps protecting the shafts. The next 4 bombs entered each shaft at over 1,000 feet per second. The final 2 penetrated deeper, detonating near the underground centrifuge halls. Over 2,000 centrifuges, including the IR-6 advanced models, were destroyed instantly. Seismic sensors recorded major underground shockwaves. The Natanz facility suffered similar results. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff later called the damage extremely severe. According to President Trump, the strike completely and totally destroyed facilities that took Iran 15 years to build. In 30 minutes, Iran's nuclear capability was gone. 30 minutes of fury, and Iran's leadership faced a terrifying truth. The strikes were over. The underground facilities at Fordo and Natanz were destroyed. Iran finally understood what had happened. No bunker, no mountain, and no layer of concrete could protect them anymore. The message was clear. There is no safe place. For the first time, the country realized the scale of American reach. The untouchable had been touched. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, confirmed severe structural damage at both nuclear sites. He stated that several underground sections had collapsed completely. Rafael Grossi, head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, reported that the vibration-sensitive centrifuges were very significantly damaged. Entire systems stopped working in seconds. The sites that took 15 years to build were gone in 30 minutes. This was the first combat use of the GBU-57A/B massive ordnance penetrator. It was both a live test and a real strike at the same time. The results proved its power. Iran's nuclear program was set back many years, possibly decades. Every adversary watching, China, Russia, and North Korea, understood the message. If they challenged the United States, the same capability could be used against them. Operation Midnight Hammer was not only a strike, it was a warning. The operation showed what happens when America's warplanes go to war. Nothing is safe. Operation Midnight Hammer was devastation, but it was not new. This kind of precision came from decades of evolution. On March 24, 1999, the B-2 Spirit entered combat for the first time. 6 aircraft took part in Operation Allied Force over Yugoslavia. They launched from Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, and flew directly to the Balkans. Each mission lasted more than 30 hours non-stop. The aircraft operated only at night and maintained total radio silence. Their purpose was to hit high-value strategic targets with complete surprise. In the first 8 weeks of the operation, the B-2 destroyed 33% of selected Yugoslav targets. It did this while flying only 50 sorties out of 34,000 total missions. No other aircraft achieved that level of impact with so few flights. The stealth design made the B-2 invisible to Yugoslav radar. Operators on the ground reported seeing nothing but birds on their screens. Moments later, their facilities exploded. Slobodan Milosevic's forces began to abandon key positions out of fear. They had no defense against what they could not see. The psychological effect of the B-2 was massive. It forced surrender without the need for large-scale bombing. In 2011, the B-2 returned to combat, destroying Libya's air defenses in a single night during the no-fly zone enforcement. The B-2 Spirit changed how wars were fought, proving that stealth and precision win battles before they begin. But America needed more than shadows. It needed a workhorse. The B-1B Lancer, known to air crews as the Bone, became the main strike aircraft for modern wars. It was designed to carry massive firepower at supersonic speed. For ground troops, its arrival meant relief. For enemies, it meant destruction. The B-1B proved that large aircraft were not just strategic tools, they were tactical lifesavers. Across Afghanistan and Iraq, the B-1B flew more than 10,000 combat sorties in 2 decades. It could carry up to 75,000 pounds of precision-guided weapons, more than almost any other aircraft in history. During Operation Enduring Freedom, only 8 B-1Bs dropped nearly 40% of the total coalition tonnage in the first 6 months. In Iraq, the aircraft flew less than 1% of missions, but delivered 43% of all JDAM bombs used. Its precision was unmatched. The 82nd Airborne Division once reported that B-1B shows of force caused enemy fighters to stop firing, without dropping a single bomb. The aircraft often provided danger-close support, dropping weapons within 50 feet of friendly forces. That accuracy saved countless American lives. In one deployment, 9 B-1Bs kept at least one aircraft over Afghanistan at all times for 9,500 hours straight. The B-1B became the workhorse of modern air war, but there was still an old giant in the sky, one that refused to die. The B-52 Stratofortress, known as the BUFF, reached a milestone few aircraft will ever match. On June 29, 2025, it marked 70 years of continuous service. It first flew on April 15, 1952. 7 decades later, it is still flying combat and patrol missions. The B-52 has outlasted generations of aircraft pilots and wars. It remains a main part of America's long-range strike force. The aircraft can carry 70,000 pounds of weapons and reach targets more than 8,800 miles away. Its only real limit is crew endurance. During Operation Desert Storm, B-52s dropped 40% of all bombs used by coalition forces. The aircraft continues to prove its value in modern conflicts. Recent operations include joint training with Morocco, combat patrols over Iraq and Syria, and simulated drops over Finland. It also conducted live JDAM bomb drops over Lithuania. Between 2024 and 2025, nearly 15% of the B-52 fleet was deployed worldwide at the same time. Today, the U.S. Air Force operates 76 B-52s and plans to keep them flying into the 2050s. If that happens, the B-52 will become the first military aircraft in history to serve for a full century. Old age means nothing when you can still carry 70,000 pounds of destruction. The buff refuses to die, but the future has already arrived. On November 10, 2023, the B-21 Raider completed its first flight. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in American air dominance. The aircraft is named after the Doolittle Raiders of World War II, honoring those who carried out the first U.S. strike on Japan. The B-21 represents the future of stealth aviation. It is so advanced that even the B-2 now looks outdated beside it. A second B-21 flew on September 10, 2025, expanding the Air Force's test operations. At least 6 pre-production airframes are under construction, with contracts for 21 aircraft already active. The design allows for both manned and unmanned missions. It is fully nuclear capable. Its open systems architecture lets it upgrade quickly as new threats appear. The Air Force plans a fleet of at least 100 B-21s, with deliveries starting in the mid to late 2020s. It can act as a networked command node, coordinating missions across all U.S. military branches. It is only the second aircraft after the B-2 built to carry the 30,000-pound GBU-57 bunker buster. The Raider is the future, but when all these giants move together, the world holds its breath. When the B-2, B-1B, B-52, and B-21 move together, it shows true American dominance. No other country can match this level of coordination and firepower. These aircraft carry 8 decades of combat experience and strategic doctrine. Behind them stand hundreds of maintenance crews working 18-hour shifts to keep each mission ready. Every large-scale operation involves more than 125 aircraft, including tankers, fighters, reconnaissance, electronic warfare, and command units. The coordination is exact, with each system linked to the next. All aircraft are connected through satellites, submarines, and ground-based defenses. They operate with space support, naval assets, and cyber systems as one global network. The impact is not only physical, it is psychological. Enemies know that when these aircraft appear, there is no escape. In the South China Sea, B-2 Spirits conduct freedom of navigation flights to remind China of U.S. reach. In Europe, B-52s fly over Allied airspace to show solidarity against Russia. When these aircraft move, the world holds its breath, because this is American dominance in motion. From Operation Midnight Hammer's devastation to the B-52's 70 years of service and the B-21's new era, America's aircraft prove that air power is more than technology. It's strategy, training, and commitment. Now you know why the world trembles when these giants go to war. Subscribe for more real military operations and American dominance in action. Which aircraft impressed you most? The B-2, B-1B, B-52, or B-21? Share your thoughts below.